the new, exciting, musical, and entertaining. The Artist Hotspot. 3, 2, 1. Introducing your host, Joel Britton. He's traveled the world for the past 50 years, listening, learning, and performing. And now he's bringing it to you. This morning's guests, Reginald B. Scott II, A. Jeffrey LaValley, Bishop Edgar L. Vann. Sit back and enjoy today's show. Here's our host, Joel Britton.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Artist Hotspot 321. Listen, we have a great show for you today. You don't want to miss us. Stay put. But before we get started, we're going to have a word of prayer. Would you please bow with us?
O Lord, the awesome shepherd of the universe, that thou wouldest provide for these thy loyal and humble sheep a great success for their mission, according to thy divine and holy will. In Jesus' incomparable name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Let's get started. Hey everybody, this is Joel Britton, host of the Artist Hotspot 321. Listen, I need you to send me your clips. I need to see who you are. We want to build you. Listen, I put together a team that can put you on the map. But the only way that we'll know you is if you send your clips in. Listen, the website is right there at the bottom of your screen. Send it all in. We're going to look at you. You can even send it to our social media pages, and we will also take a look. But we won't know unless you send it in. Send it in to me. Let me see you. We're waiting on you. A world-class leader, Reginald B. Scott II is the Chief Financial Officer of the Detroit Land Bank Authority. His long-standing work in the financial sector has impacted educational and faith-based institutions in the city of Detroit and the state of Michigan. Today, he will share financial information and resources that may be helpful to you, your family, and your community during these challenging economic times. Would you please help me welcome my cousin, Reginald B. Scott II. Reggie, how's it going, man?
Man, hey man, it's great to see you as well. You're looking prosperous. The western part of the country is doing good for you, man. It's good to see you.
Tell me, that, as the Chief Financial Officer, the Land Bank Authority, what is your role? What do you do there?
Okay, so just to give a bit of context or background, the Detroit Land Bank Authority, we are a public owner of basically last resort. Properties that are owned by the city, residential properties, I should say, are transferred to the land bank. And so these are properties that have potentially been owned by the city for years, lost due to foreclosure or other things, and they are transferred to the land bank. That is not always how it happens. It varies city by city, state by state. But basically, Detroit made a wise decision because different entities owned different parcels and properties. So they made the wise decision to put them all under one authority, which is the Detroit Land Bank Authority. So we sell parcels and vacant structures, residential structures, I should say, back to the public. So when I started there, I was over sales and disposition. So we have about 90,000 parcels, and I was over sales. And then due to my background and just, I love numbers, when the Chief Financial Officer left, I took that role. So basically, we get a little bit of money from 50% maybe of our revenue from the city of Detroit. And then we get our other revenue from demolition funding and revenue that we generate from sales. So next year's budget, like this year's budget was about a $62 million budget. And $40 million of it is probably federal revenue for a demo program that is coming to the end. So we got about a $20 million operating budget, annually. So I just manage our resources, figure out what the organization needs to do. We need to get properties back to sale, clear title. We have a big legal team. We need to be out in the community. We do that type of stuff. So I just make sure that money and resources are allocated to different departments and different areas of the organization for the organization to be successful. So, manage it, take a look at it. I do a lot of analysis. I kick a lot of tires, make sure that everything is running smooth.
Yeah, you kick a lot of tires. Well, listen, with more than 41 million people unemployed right now, what is Detroit doing to help out with this situation right now?
Well, safety is a priority, but Detroit is trying to, I think the governor of Michigan is doing a great job with slowly returning people back to work. And that really is what has to happen. People have to return back to work. Detroit has a unique problem in 85% African-American, but a lot of like our demographic are people that make less than $35,000 a year. What could happen or what has to happen soon is many of those individuals who are employed in those jobs that have been cut back due to COVID-19, we need to return that industry. So, like people are looking forward to maybe, more restaurants open, things like that, So Detroit is trying to battle it that way. But honestly, man, it has been very, very tough. The city of Detroit had to do some layoffs.
Wow.
A great portion of our revenue is from the city of Detroit's revenue is from casino revenue, like a casino sharing. And with the casinos not being open for now, going on about 90 days, it's been a loss. So Detroit has experienced a loss. Fortunately, Detroit had been doing very well financially over the last 3 to 4 years. So it's not going to send Detroit back into a downward spiral. But yeah, the land bank itself, we had to lay off about 30% of our workforce because it just, it's just a tough time. So hopefully we can be smart about it. There's not, infection doesn't rise again, and then people can slowly get back to work, and the city should be okay.
Okay, so what would you tell a small business, nonprofit, independent contractors, or a sole proprietor? What kind of advice would you give them for this season and how to move along? What would be their next step?
Great question. I mean, now is really a time to kind of diversify their portfolio, and what I mean is, I mean that in I look at it as a balance sheet on the asset side, the liability side, but also like money they bring in, but then money that people spend. Some people, may be fortunate that their business is able to maintain in this shift and this work from home. And if they can, you got to capitalize on that. Like if you find a niche where you can continue to still do business, even though industry isn't moving or people are not moving about, that's a great thing. And you got to take advantage of that. But on the flip side, one of the things that I do, like today's July 1st, as a business owner, I mean, I work, but I also own a business as well. I've recognized the importance of eliminating or reducing certain expenses, where I've saved as far as like things that I would do, maybe going to lunch every day or something like that, traveling back and forth, all of those expenses, I take those and I'm reducing or eliminating debt. Because the way to survive this is, eliminate or don't have debt. Because if you can do that, then, life is still about, it's not how much you make, it's how much you got to spend. So if you can spend less, then this is a good thing. But what I see, man, is like even how we're communicating today. If individuals can create a niche of recognizing that communication or interaction is going to be done digitally for the foreseeable future, people can prepare for that. I like what I see, like musical lounges where people are going in and they are creating a greater brand for themselves because technology allows to give you greater access to it. I've seen small things that we're familiar with our background, but like churches where they may only have 200 to 300 people going to an actual physical location, but now that they've gone digitally and over some social media streams, sometimes it's 1,000 or more people that may be able to log in or tune in. So it's expanding the brand that way. I would say now is a good time to invest in real estate. I'm happy to see some of the things in Detroit when I look at our sales every day, people are still buying real estate. It's, you know, some people are trying to liquidate. If you can get a good real estate investment, limited cash, and be able to own property values are going to probably maintain or continue to go up. So, you know, just those are just a few things that I'm looking at. The stock market is going to, I think, actualize itself. Like in the stock market, you can tell that there are a lot of people who are just like jumping in right now. And then when it levels itself out, that's when you're going to get a true indication of how well the economy is doing. But I'm glad to see that our economy has not taken a huge hit, you know, with everything that's going on.
Man, well, you know, I'm so proud of you to see where you're at in this level in your life. I mean, I remember when you came home with your mother on 2080 Edison when you were born, and to see you now, well, that makes me old, so I'm going to leave that right there. But I really appreciate you being and the knowledge that you've shared with us. And anytime you want to share something with the public that they need to know financially and everything, is a purpose that I brought you to the show, because, you know, in music, a lot of guys, they don't really know how to handle money and really how to make their success work for them financially. There's a lot of mistakes financially made by musicians. So that's, if anybody asks, why would you have a financial guy on a musical show? That answers your question. Appreciate you so much, Reggie. Love you,
absolutely.
man.
Hey, let's keep this up. Let's continue, man. I'm always proud of you. I like the great work that you're doing. Keep it up.
Will do, man. Reginald Scott, everybody. Grammy and Stellar Gospel Music Award nominated musician, songwriter, and producer A. Jeffrey LaValley has been recognized as one of the leading music producers in gospel music. He has appeared on more than 250 music albums and projects, including Reverend James Cleveland, Lou Rawls, and numerous acclaimed gospel choirs and recording artists. He also has performed in concert with the late Aretha Franklin and George Michael. Would you please help me welcome gospel music legend A. Jeffrey LaValley. Jeffrey, it's so good to see you, man. Everything is, you just look so prosperous now. How's everything?
You know, when you get to be 67, you ain't got no choice but to look prosperous. It's a blessing.
Man, I've known you for so many years. Look, I want to jump right into this whole thing, man, because I got so many questions that I want to ask you. Listen, you started at the age of 5. Tell us about your music journey growing up in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. What happened? What went on?
I'm a Kojic baby, of course, you know that, and the piano was purchased for my sister, and my dad said that no son of his would ever play the piano. And on August 3rd, 1958, my father was killed in a train truck accident, and I started playing in September the next month.
Wow!
And I've been playing ever since. Pretty much, I started Milwaukee at church, Emmanuel Church of God in Christ. And went from there to New Hope Church of God in Christ. And I left Milwaukee when I was 18, but I was at the same church from the time I was maybe 8 until the time I was 18. So,
wow. So who was your biggest influence?
It depends on how you want to look at it. When it comes to playing keyboards, Charles Stokes, Frank Johnson. The first time I heard Richard Smallwood, I went nuts. I had never heard anybody play like that before. When it comes to choir directing, your dad was probably my biggest inspiration to becoming the director, because I had never seen anybody control a choir with one finger. And he did that so excellently until I wanted to be just like Melvin Britton. I wanted to be just like him. He was an excellent trainer. He didn't waste time. When you went to his rehearsals, you were in, you did what you had to do, and you were out. Matty Clark, of course, you know, I went through that whole Southwest Michigan thing. So those were the people I wanted to be like.
Wow. So as an award-winning producer, I mean, you've worked with a long list of acclaimed choirs. What has been one of your most successful choir projects to date?
Well, I would have to say the most successful project That's surprisingly coming back after 30 years is my choir's recording of Revelation 19:1. It was a filler cut. We needed 7.5 minutes to complete the timing on the LP. And we had sung the song in communion, and it was really a spontaneous thing because my pastor just came to me and threw the Bible on the organ and said, "Sing this."
Wow.
And that's what we did. I just started singing the first melody that came to mind. And when it came time to record, I said, well, I'll see what we can do to fix it up, dress it up. And we did what we could with it. Now all of a sudden it's coming back around like it's brand new. Kanye West has picked it up and recorded it on his Sunday service choir's project, and as well as using it, a sample of it as part of one of his songs on his album. So that's probably the most popular project I have right now.
So tell us about your composition, Revelation 19:1, and some of the career highlights you experienced.
Well, that's probably the career highlight right now. I just don't, and you couldn't have told me that 35 years after composing that song, that it would be as popular as it is. Nobody could tell me that. I am humbled at the response that it's even getting today from young folk, from older folk, from choirs, from people doing it as solos. I mean, people are sending me videotapes of their choir singing it. I got a tape from a choir in Italy that was singing it. You know, it's really an humbling experience for me because I've never had this type of publicity. I'm not that kind of guy. I'm just a regular old choir director. You know, I do what I do. I do what God has called me to do. This has been the highlight of my life. It really has.
So do you like the new sound? What do you think of the new gospel sound? What does it do for you?
I have my yeses and I have my nos. My biggest no is one of the things that we were always taught is you got to identify the object of your worship. And we're getting a lot of pronouns. Okay, there are people who don't understand who God is or what God is or how, you know, how to deal with God or whatever. So we can't keep saying you, he, it, that. We need to identify who God is. Call him by his name. So that people know exactly who we're talking. They don't have to guess as to whether if you're talking about your car or talking about your girlfriend or talking about your wife or your husband. They know who you're talking about. And then they don't have a problem.
Okay, so tell me what's next. What's next? What do we look for?
I want to say that my next project is going to be my choir again. I want to re-record New Jerusalem. We haven't recorded now since 1991. I've written quite a few things that we can do, and we may be old, we may be on canes and walkers, but we can still carry pretty good too. So I want to get the choir back out and exposed to a whole new generation of folks and let them know that they're not the only ones that can sing. We can do it as well. And it's time for them to come back out of their shell and do some work. So that's my next project. As a matter of fact, we were supposed to record May 9th. But of course, the COVID stopped everything. And so we're going to go back and start all over again.
Well, definitely let us know, because we definitely want to be there or try to have something to do with it and help you to push it as much as possible. We really appreciate it. We love you, and I really appreciate you coming on the show. And anytime you need anything from us, you let us know. Ladies and gentlemen, Jeffrey LaValley.
Bless you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Jeff. World-renowned preacher, teacher, and civic leader, Bishop Edgar L. Vann II is celebrating 43 years as the senior pastor of Second Ebenezer Church in Detroit, Michigan. He has ministered around the globe in such places as Canada, Mexico, the Caribbean, the Middle East, Africa, and Eastern Europe. Bishop Vann has also served as an advisor to governors, mayors, civic officials, and corporate executives throughout the state of Michigan. Would you please help me welcome Bishop Edgar L. Vann? Bishop, how's it going?
Oh man, it's wonderful, and I'm grateful to be here with you. It's such a pleasure.
So let me ask you this, Bishop. What has been some of the most challenging in ministering? What has been the biggest challenging in ministering to the people?
Probably there are probably a couple of them. One was if a church was not in a position to already be online already have a presence online, already have a production team online, et cetera, et cetera. They had to pivot abruptly. And unfortunately, for many churches, they were caught off guard, of course. And we were blessed that we had been doing this for a long, long time. But you had to transition everyone over to online services. You know, scientists say that it takes 66 days to form a habit on average. Well, we've had those 66 days, and now people have moved over to online services. And of course, online giving as well, then online meetings, and then online our ministry meetings or our group meetings that we tried to keep together. I've been on Zooms with seniors. They had to learn how to Zoom so that I could stay in touch with them and see their faces, that kind of thing. I think there's been some precedents that have been set through this pandemic that will not go away. I think we're understanding what we really need and have to do and what we don't have to do. And I think that the future is a fusion between physical and digital, which I'm calling phygital. In other words, it's a hybrid between the physical in-person and the online virtual presence. I think life is going to be that way, and I believe the church is going to be that way.
Bishop, share a word of encouragement to the people. If you were to say something right now to the people, what would you tell them for the next step for their lives?
I would just say to people that I hope you've had enough time during the lockdowns, during the shutdowns, during the time off of work, during times where we stayed at home, stayed in, stayed alert, etc. I hope that those have been times that you've used well for reflection, for a deeper spiritual life, for a time to deepen your prayer life, to draw closer to God, to draw closer to your families, to realize what really matters, what's important in life, what's good and what's not good. I just hope that people looked at this as an opportunity to become better people, so that coming out of this, because I truly believe that what God's going to do is that there's more for you on the other side of COVID than you had on the front side of COVID.
That's it.
But the thing is that you needed to take that time to prepare yourself. God shook the world. He shook the world and he shut it down. And he allowed, I didn't say he brought the virus. I said he used the virus. He used the virus to shake the world. He used the virus to shut it down. He's even shut down the church. Throughout all of the things, 9/11, everything, the church was never shut down. But this time the church shut down. Many of us have been shut down for 16 weeks or more. And the church is even shut down because the church must look at itself.
Wow.
The church must be honest with itself. The church has to realize what's important and what is not. The church has to understand it's not an entertainment center, but still a soul-saving life transformation station. Right. The church has to realize that all of the glitz and the glamour and the positions and the titles that people hold didn't mean anything. The common denominator was that we were all at the same level, going through the same thing, and we needed a relationship with God in order for us to see ourselves through. And I just pray, because I know that people want to go back to what they used to do, and I think that a lot of that is over and should be over. I think we ought to re-examine ourselves toward a new direction, a new normal, taking the church back to basics in a great way, so that I think a lot of things in this world had gotten out of control. I think a lot of people had gotten out of control. Our society had just become a hodgepodge of some of everything, with people going in all kinds of directions and calling it freedom. I think that a whole lot of people were celebrating attention and calling it success.
Wow.
I think that we had a lot of people who had really lost their sense of foundation in life, their sense of direction. And I'm just praying that this time was a time that people used wisely to really do some soul searching, to really figure out what really matters, what life is really all about, and what the vision for the rest of their lives really should be. And I just pray that comes out of this. I pray that a new direction comes out of this. I pray that new energy, new ideas, new concepts. I pray that we learn, not just through the pandemic of COVID, but through the pandemic of racism, which has been a 400-year pandemic. I pray that we learn through that pandemic, through George Floyd and others, that, life is important. It really matters. And a lot of the stuff that we think is so important is really not. And we've got to get back to living good, solid lives and respecting one another, understanding that we have differences, but building bridges that unite us instead of walls that divide us.
Well, Bishop, we really appreciate you on this morning. I mean, the knowledge that you give and just the way that you lead the people. And I mean, they can't go wrong with sound knowledge. And that's what you bring, is sound knowledge on not only just the spiritual level, but on how to live as a person. And so we really appreciate you taking out time and sharing this time with us here on the Artist Hotspot Show. And anytime that you need us, we're here for you. I really appreciate you personally, because you gave me a job at such an early age and trusted me at that time, which catapulted my career. So I really, from the bottom of my heart to you and Lady Sheila, say thank you for even giving me that opportunity back in those days in Detroit at Second Ebenezer. And we love you, and I thank you for everything. And tell everybody I said hello at the church. I know a lot of them. I know a lot of them are grown now and gone on. Yeah. But thank you so much, Bishop. And ladies and gentlemen, Bishop Edgar Vann.
Thank you.
Oh, man, this was amazing. I hope you enjoyed it like I did. I had a ball today. Listen, we're going to be right back here, same time, same place. You don't want to miss it, not at all. Next week, I have a special guest. I'm not going to tell you who it is. Go to the website. You're going to see exactly who it is. And listen, after the show, I'm going to be on all our social media. I'm going to be there for only 5 minutes. You might want to call in. Tell me what you think of the show. You might even have some critiques you want to let me know about. I appreciate all of that. Listen, meet me here next week. Same time, same place. Artist Hotspot 321. Have a good one.